What's up, everybody? How we all doing this afternoon? Nice to see you all. I'm out and about, being a good citizen, wearing my mask, following the rules, do what the man says, right? Anyways, Bryan Kohberger case. Remember how little Chad over here told you guys in the beginning that they were submitting PCs for a search warrant, and they submitted a couple probable cause affidavits until they finally were able to get the DNA match from his dad, supposedly, and match it to him. This is making more sense now that today News Nation article came out that says and claims that when the sheath was sent to the lab in Idaho, no DNA came back on the knife sheath or the button snap, nothing. So it was sent to a lab in Texas. And then all of a sudden, once it was sent to the lab in Texas, they were able to find trace DNA that supposedly matched back to Kohberger's father. So it does make sense that they submitted a probable cause. But what this is telling us is that they have really no evidence on this guy at all. Do you realize, for example, the Madeline McCann case? The father had a rental car that had blood in it. Madeline's blood. You know that? They were suspects for a whole year until 2008 when they were cleared of it. There has been people with more evidence against them than Mr. Kohberger who are still free today. Okay? Secondly, why would they spend all that money to follow him from Idaho to PA to get some garbage out of the garbage when he lives in Pullman? Him and his dad didn't eat. They didn't throw garbage away at his apartment. In their whole trip back across the country, they both wore rubber gloves. Neither one of them had rubber gloves on at the traffic stop. That officer at the traffic stop could have said, "Hey, I'm giving you a ticket. Sign this paper." Now, if he'd have done that with both of them having no gloves on, as we can see in the body cam, they would have got some DNA. That would have saved a lot of time and money. Doesn't make sense to me, guys. If he was really the killer, it really wouldn't matter about this Brady Giglio. Any of that wouldn't matter. Say Xana or Ethan under their fingernails has Bryan Kohberger's DNA. It really doesn't matter at that point how they obtained the DNA. He's hit, man. Just like Dennis Rader, BTK. He's hit. They got him. He decided to admit and confess. Even if he didn't confess, he was getting arrested for those murders. Which, again, he was arrested before he was murdered. Before he said he was BTK. Took him a little after they arrested him to admit he was BTK. But he did. So, why did they spend all that money when they could have, again, took garbage from his apartment? How about his doorknob? I mean, he was a PhD student. I mean, somebody could have followed him around there and got some DNA. Did him and his dad not eat the whole way home? They didn't stop and get gas? And again, if they were both gloved up with surgical gloves, anything they did, you'd have noticed. And secondly, you see them in the car, they didn't have gloves on. Like I said, or the officer could have said, have a good day, guys, and shook their hand. Swabbed his hand. Shit don't make sense. Shit don't make sense. I believe Kohberger was ahead of this or something. But what we need to look at is I'm going to go back over the warrants. This is what we need to look at, the warrants that were served up until his arrest. Like, I'd say the final warrant or two will show what led them to be able to get it. And the only thing I'm seeing is that DNA from the garbage. Besides the DNA from the garbage, he didn't, I mean, what else they got? What else? So they better have something. And then we're coming up today and they're telling us that it was sent to a lab in Idaho and came back no DNA and inconclusive. Couldn't find any trace DNAs of anything. But all of a sudden, they send it to Texas. Do you know what that creates in somebody's mind? Do you know what that creates in my mind? And I'm not on the jury. Reasonable doubt, people. Reasonable doubt. When you have any type of reasonable doubt, you're not going to get convicted. So, if that's their smoking gun and that's the evidence they have against Mr. Kohberger, this isn't looking good. I told you from the beginning, I almost feel like this is not a what you can prove in court. Or did Bryan come across some information or some crooked cops as he was working in the forensic lab at Pullman or Moscow, realized this, and this is his approach to expose it? I don't know. But it's also odd to me that the media was crucifying this man in the beginning with this, that, and the other thing, and now it's almost like the media has switched and they're talking about how, oh, wait a second, this might not be the guy. It's very odd. I'm very curious to hear your comments about this. Should I do a live? Do you want to have a discussion? Comment below. I'm looking for some help with the channel too. Anybody willing to help, give me a call. Shoot me an email. bcw4118@gmail.com. Thank you.